Hello fellow cinephiles, Film Guru here. Today I'm reviewing Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. This was once again written and directed by Kevin Smith and stars Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes and a variety of cameos by well-known celebrities such as Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Shannon Elizabeth and a variety of others. The film really follows Jay and Silent Bob as they discover a reboot of Blunt Man and Chronic movie is being made in Hollywood. They head off to Chronic in Hollywood to stop it. Along the way, they run into Jay's old girlfriend Justice, played by Shannon Elizabeth, and Jay discovers he has a daughter he never knew he had. One who forces Jay and Silent Bob at knife point to take her and her three friends with them to Hollywood so they can be extras in the new movie. What starts off as a film about just Jay and Silent Bob trying to stop this movie being made turns into a journey of discovery. They learn things about themselves they didn't know. Jay learns about what it is to be a parent, and he ultimately faces that along the way. And it turns into quite an interesting and profound film in many ways. Look, this is a great return to form for Kevin Smith in my opinion. It's his first film after he had a heart attack and survived. And it's really going back to the well, as he puts it. It's sort of going back to the characters that he created and the universe he created. Turning to doing a sequel to a film that was really successful about 18, 19 years ago. It was really clever what he did here. He brought back a lot of people he'd worked with before, and he tied all the whole universe together in a very interesting way. Some of the movies they talk about were actual movies, and others they sort of tie in. So everything that Jay and Silent Bob went through, including Dogma, is put into this, and I thought that was really clever to bring it all together into focus as one living organism. I like that. A lot of the actors he worked with before had returned, including Ben Affleck, a guy he was friends with who he helped get his career started in the early days. And these two men hadn't spoken or interacted with each other in about 10 years. And after the heart attack, they got in contact with each other, and he ultimately put him in the film. Originally, he was going to get him to play another version of Cockknocker, but he wrote this really powerful scene that was really extraordinary. And he really talks about how he's changing, evolving. All his dreams have been fulfilled, and now he's more focused on having, being this child's father, and looks at the relationship between him and Alyssa that he ultimately helped to have a child. And this child that's playing McNeil's daughter is actually Jason Mewes' daughter. That she sort of appeared in, and I thought that was really clever and interesting. But this scene's really powerful. This is something that Kevin Smith wrote, and he really was conveying how he was feeling at the time. He gave such a great monologue to Ben Affleck's character that was really powerful. McNeil always felt like he was Bruce Wayne, and now he feels more like Thomas Wayne. He has this child he looks after. This is a very surprising film. I went into it expecting your usual dick and fart jokes and the silliness of Kevin Smith and what they did with Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And yes, it does have those elements and those parts and those silly moments in it. But there's so much more here. There's so much heart. It's a very meta film, even down to the point that Kevin Smith's not only playing Silent Bob, but he's also playing a version of Kevin Smith, as the director of the Blunt Man and Chronic film they're making. And I thought that was really interesting. There was a lot of stuff he put into this film that was very relevant to him. And you could tell that he'd been through this extraordinary experience, and now he sort of wanted to talk about that and express that on film. And that's exactly what he did here. The best aspect of this film is really Jay's journey of realizing he's a father and being fearful of that, feeling he can't offer his daughter anything, played by Harley Quinn Smith. He feels he can't give her anything. On one note, they called her Millennium Falcon, which I thought was a really clever name to give that sort of character as well. But it's really about how he comes to terms with having a child, and that he doesn't know if he can be a father because his father was never around, but he tries anyway. And it's like he comes to a realization towards the end of the film that it's really, from the people he interacts with, especially Holden McNeil and him talking about his daughter, how he really wants to be in his daughter's life, and he really wants to be the father that she deserves, and he tries really hard. And I really liked that. I thought that was a really great emotional punch in the film, and it felt like Kevin was also talking about the fact he had a daughter as well. And it sort of comes full circle with Harley Quinn Smith as well. The fact that she played in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, she played the baby version of Silent Bob at the start of that film, and now in her late teens, he's put her into the film as an actual character. And she steals the film, in my opinion. She has some really great lines. She's very funny and interesting. I'd love to see like a spin-off movie about her and her growing up and maybe her relationship with Jay. I just think that she's fantastic in it, and she does such a great job. She even takes a piss out of her own father, saying that Kevin Smith, I hate him. He keeps putting his daughter in all these damn movies. And I was like, that's really clever, very meta and very real. And she's just fantastic throughout the film. She just has some great moments, and there's a lot of heart and depth to her that you don't see a lot of usually in the other films she's played. I think she's getting better and better as an actress, and I think this is sort of her on the rise, and I think she's great in this profoundness in what he's trying to express in this film and what he's trying to say about life and who he is as a person and an artist. And I think that's the draw tier for me. That's what really sucked me into this movie. And I just didn't expect it to be like that. And I was sort of so blown away by it and so impressed by it. It felt very different to Jane Silent Strike Back. It felt more like the difference between Dumb and Dumber and Dumb and Dumber 2. They're very different groups of movies, but it's just sort of, there's been such a gap, and the humour was there, but it was different, and I think it was because of the Kevin Smith evolving as a person, as a man, as an artist, and it just sort of, the humour wasn't as on point or as silly as we had seen in the first film. But I think I'm glad he did it that way. It just felt like he'd grown up. He was a man now. He wasn't this man-child anymore. He's a man, he has a family, he's been through a lot, and it's sort of about expressing that in this film, and I thought that was really brilliant. I was really impressed with what he was able to accomplish with this movie in the smallest of ways, and the humour he put into it, and the fact he evolved the film as he was evolving himself. I thought that was really powerful, unexpected, and refreshing in many ways. I've liked Kevin Smith for a long time. I think he's underrated in many ways. To me, he feels like a modern day sort of John Hughes. You sort of feel like he's been very inspired by him in the use of dialogue, the way he connects all the sort of films together in its own sort of universe in a way. The way he defines and creates really interesting characters, and the humour's a bit silly and over the top, but there's a lot of heart and realism in the films in the smallest of ways. And I just feel like he's a lot like him in that regard. I liked the films that Kevin Smith did away from his usual comedy. I liked Red State. I thought Tusk was very daring and original and creepy and disturbing, but really interesting. And look, I'm probably the only person in the world, or a small majority of people. I liked Yoga Hoses. I liked the fact he took his daughter Harley Quinn Smith and Johnny Depp's daughter Lily Rose Depp and sort of put them in a cameo in Tusk, and then took those characters out and put them in their own movie. It felt like, more like Clerks in a way. I liked it. It was in a different direction. But I'm happy he's getting back to what made him popular, what made him sort of known well, but also combining those silliness and funny movies with something a bit darker and a lot more heart and a lot more powerful filmmaking than he had. He combined his ability to do both, and I think this is the beginning of it. I want to see more of his films. I want to see Clerks 3. I want to see what he does next, and to see how he evolves as a filmmaker and the type of filmmaker he is now that's evolved and changed. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next. Final thoughts. Like I've said, he's been through a lot of things. He has something to say here. He's talking about getting older and what it means to be a parent, and what it means to be a human being and a man. And that sometimes you've got to leave behind the childish things, and you've got to evolve and grow and become better and different and change. And that's sort of what this film's sort of saying to me anyway. It feels like he's finally finding his footing once again as a filmmaker, and I'm impressed by this. I think that's ultimately the end of what this film has in it. Is it's very personal for him, and I think he's done a fantastic job with this film. I'm going to give Jay & Silent Bob Reboot 4 out of 5. I enjoy this experience. I thought it was as fun as his early films, but also with a lot more heart. And I just was blown away by how profoundly meta and powerful this film actually was. Anyway, that's all from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Otherwise, until next time, enjoy the movies.